dwell, because it can't dwell in all that flesh. Flush. Everything we do, we give in to the whims of the flesh. Being where is the Spirit of the Lord leading? He's not leading because everything we doing it because the flesh say do it. Well, I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat. Sometimes you got to tell that flesh, no. No, I'm not. It's not time to eat now. Because these kind go out by fasting and praying. Fasting. Come on, say it with me. Fasting and praying. Come on, say it again. Fasting and praying. And praying. Fasting and praying. It becomes more easier to pray when you start fasting. Am I telling the truth? Yes. It becomes easier to pray when you begin to fast. You can feel the difference in your connection. You can feel freer in your approach to God when you begin to afflict your soul in fasting, afflict your flesh in your body in fasting. You feel freer. You look like your prayer just take off. Amen. Look like you get an answer right now when you begin to fast and pray. And I'm putting emphasis on that because sometimes we'll pray but we won't fast. And we'll go on a fast but we won't pray. And we got to do both of them. We got to do both of them. We got to fast and we got to pray. Amen. Amen. To come into the commission that God has given to us. Who's going to cast out the demons if we don't? Who's going to lay hands on the sick and the sick recover if we don't? So if we're going to come into our commission, amen, we're going to have to do what he told us to do. We're going to have to learn how to fast and pray. Fast and pray. They tell me Zachary have a hard time fasting. He wants to eat his food, your brother's food, your sister and cousin's food. He won't eat everybody's food. But you can't do it like that, Zach. Huh? No. You got to learn how to fast. So you can learn how to pray. Praise be to God. Let's go back to Hebrew. I'm going to start at 2. It says, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Number 3 says, for consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your mind. Number 2 said, looking unto Jesus. And number 3 is a furtherance of the looking. Keep your focus on him. Pay attention to what he did and how he walked and his example that he left. Because we're supposed to have the same mind. I believe it's Philippians that says, arm yourself likewise, having the same mind. Even as Christ has suffered in the flesh, arm yourself likewise, having the same mind. So we got to have that same mind. That's why over here in Hebrew, he's telling us to consider Jesus. Look at him. Look at what he went through. Contradiction of sinners. The Bible says he knew no sin. Neither was God found in his mouth. He did no sin. He was perfect and upright. But then he was tried as a sinner, as one that blasphemed against God. They called him a sinner because he declared, I am the Son of God. That's why they tried him, Arisa, because he wouldn't change who he is. Amen. He said, I am that I am. I'm light. I'm life. I'm the way. Amen. I'm the Son of God. Amen. And because he wouldn't change that, they said he was blaspheming. And they tried him as a sinner. But he proved that is who he was. He forgave sin, cleansed lepers, opened blinded eyes, turned water into wine, walked on the water, commanded waves and winds. Amen. Fed 5,000. Turned around and then fed 4,000. Praise be to God. Raised Lazarus from the dead. He proved who he was. Who raises the dead but God? Proved it. But they still tried it. And that's why this scripture is telling us to consider him. When you're going through, keep your eyes focused on him. He's the author, the finisher, but you need to consider. Stop for a moment and look and see. Am I following Jesus? He suffered. Am I suffering? And if I am suffering, am I suffering for him, for his name's sake? A lot of people suffer because they deserve what's coming in their life. They lied and backbited on people. They told tales. Amen. They stolen. They cheated people. So that's just coming back in their life. But when we suffer for the sake of Christ, that's the kind of suffering he's talking about. In the scripture talking about, consider him. Lest when you start going through your suffering, because suffering comes. He that will live godly shall, somebody shout, shall suffer persecutions. If you're going to live godly, you got to know that people are not going to talk about you right. They're going to look at you funny. You got to know that. You're not going to be accepted in the circle. You have to know that. Have to know that. They're not going to pat you on the back. They're going to lie on you. Don't lie on you. You have to know that. And when it started happening, then what we're supposed to do is supposed to consider him. Consider his life. And why would we do that? It says, lest you be wearied and faint in your mind. Lest you get weary. Because people lying on you make you tired. I'm tired. You know, I say it sometimes. I'm just tired of people lying on me. Amen. Tired of folk mistreating me. You know, people that's supposed to be your bosom buddies. They put together different things and don't even invite you. Not that you were so excited about coming, but you could at least been invited, included. You know what I'm saying? At least consider me. At least acknowledge that you're alive. I know you consider me as being this holy person, and he's gonna put a blanket on the party, and you know he don't do what we do, and you know I don't want him around because you know he don't laugh at our jokes and stuff like that. But at least ask me. But they won't even ask you. They make it a business, say put the program together, do all the fanfare and everything, and exclude you on purpose. Amen. But consider him. Lest you be weary and faint. Weary means you get exhausted, get tired, give out, weary. And when you start getting weary, you got to be careful. Because the next day you say, well, I just need to sit down somewhere. I just need to go and lay down somewhere. Consider him. Did he stop? No, he didn't stop. He kept on. They were beating him, he kept on walking. They were kicking him, he kept on walking. The cross got too heavy for him to bear him, buckle his knees. But he wasn't about ready to give up. He could have made them kill him right there. He could have given up the ghost right there. He could have, with them kicking and spitting on him and pulling out his hairs off his face, you know, snatching his hair, talking about him and mocking him. He could have just said, well, I'm not going to be humiliated up on that cross. I'm just going to die right here. But he pressed his way all the way to Calvary. And allowed them to nail him to the cross and hang him up there. Allowed them to pierce him in the side. Allowed them to put a crown of thorns upon his head. He allowed all of that to go through the deepest humiliation. And we don't want to look bad. No, we don't want to look bad. But he was humiliated to a point that we will never know. And he endured it. And that's what the Bible's telling us right here. He said, consider him that endured such contradictions against himself. Against himself. Look at how we fight for our name. Fight for our prestige and fight for our image. Look at how we fight for that. And the Bible is telling us He had no reputation for himself. Consider him that went through such contradiction. It was totally contrary to who he was. He was not a sinner. But this is only done to the vilest of criminals. What he went through was only set aside for the most vicious criminals. And he endured that. The Bible tells us, consider it, lest we be weary and faint. When we start looking at Jesus, it tells us we don't have anything to complain about. We don't have nothing to, when we look at him, we don't have nothing to complain about. Who among us allow somebody to spit in your face? None of us. Hit you in your face. Just haul off and hit you in your face. They said they beat him in the face until he was unrecognizable. His face just mangled and beaten. He never did fight back. He could have called a legion of angels at a moment and said, come and strike him. Or he could have just spoken a word and say, all of you die right now. But he didn't do it. He endured it. Went through it. Consider such a one. Contradictory. It was contradictory. That's what we fall out. We boasted and shouted and danced and testified and tried to make people think that we're great and mighty. And then when we start going through the suffering, oh, no, not me. Oh, me, baby. No, not me. That's why the Bible points this out to us. Consider him. Consider, lest you be weary. And it says, consider what he took against himself. Took against himself. Lest you be weary and faint in your mind. And that's where the breakdown comes. In our mind. In our mind, because that's where the war is waged. In our minds. We lay up in the bed just thinking about it. I don't know how much more of this I can take. Yes. Can't sleep. Just thinking about it. Yes. Oh, God. How long is this going on? Yes. Then when we fall asleep, we wake up. We're still thinking about it. The battle is waged in our minds. And that's why he told us, he said, consider him, lest you be wearied and faint. Faint means to give up. Yes. Lose heart. Yes. Don't forget we got to endure. And I just told you what endurance entails. You got to be actively moving and testifying and actively engaged in your salvation and doing what God tell you to do. Now you can't do that when you have fainted. Because when you're fainted and lost heart, then you say, I don't see the purpose in this. I don't see it. It's just not working out for me. You know, I could do something else. I'm tired of folk lying on me and talking about me. I'm tired of suffering when I'm suffering. Don't look like nobody understands what I'm going through. You know, those are signs of fainting. Yes. In your mind. That's why every day we got to understand that the weapon, that the battle that we in, is not carnal, and it's a battle against spiritual warfare. And we got to put on our armor every day. We can't just miss a day and then choose another day. We got to be clothed in that armor every day. Every day, get up and put on your armor. When you start putting on when you get out of the bed. When you start putting on your clothes, start going in the bathroom, getting yourself fixed up. You know, you ought to be speaking to God, yes. Talking to him, yes. Letting him talk to you. Amen. Amen. Coming back into focus of your relationship and of your covenant relationship. That's what we need to be doing, because we need to put on this whole armor of God every day. Amen. Every day. Every day. Because if we don't put on the armor, then we're vulnerable. Vulnerable. We can take one hit in the wrong place and cause us to be weakened to the point that we faint. Y'all hear me? Amen. Let's get on into this thing just a little bit deeper.